Hey, it's Derek Depker of bestsellersecrets.com here with Ntathu Allen, who is one of my students. She has been through some of my different courses and reaching out to me over the past several years. And she just reached out and was excited to announce that she has a new course out. And creating courses is something that I've recommended. Here are many other people recommend for nonfiction authors and even fiction authors who are creating courses around, the writing, the craft of writing and things like that. So she is excited about her new course. She reached out to announce it, and I said, I'd love to interview you because Ntathu has so much, I'm sure, that she can share about her journey, things that she's overcome, things that she's working on now. And, if there's anything I can share with you, Ntathu, on this call that might help you, then that's also going to help everyone else that's listening to it. So,
Thank you.
thank you for showing up and being willing to do this interview. And can you give us a brief background about your background, your story, how you got into writing books?
Wow. Thank you, Derek. Thank you for allowing me to be on your stage. It's really, wow, it's amazing. It's great. My writing journey, I've always written as a child. I've always written. And a couple of years ago, about 10 years now, I went through a really bad divorce. And I teach yoga meditation. And as my therapy, I turned to writing, and I wrote loads of poems. I just wrote about yoga meditation, what I was going through, and how the techniques of breathing, yoga poses, meditation, how they were helping me to get through. And that led me to starting a blog, and that led me to writing a book. And then through that journey, people like yourself kept saying the best way to grow the business is to create a course based on your books. And that's been a journey in itself. That has been a big journey, just getting this far. So yeah, I'm just really excited. It just feels that, yes, I've done it. I sold 5 copies, and that's just been amazing. And it just feels the start of, it works. It works. You can have a blog, you can write a book, and you can create a course, and you can create money. So it works.
I love it. Yeah. And a lot of, there's still a lot of authors out there who maybe are hesitant to create a course, or they haven't dived into it yet. So I'm curious, what was it that inspired you to create a course?
It was the fact that you can reach more people. You can have a bigger impact when you've got a course. And ideally, I'd love to create a community around the course. That'd be one of the next steps. But really, it was a way that when I teach yoga or meditation, that's literally, I have to be present to reach one person, or to reach a class, or to reach a company. But with a course, it's on it's on the web. You can reach more people. You have greater impact. And like looking back, I'm thinking, I've got this course now. I just need to learn to market it, and I can reach even more people and just sit at home and teach yoga meditation. It just feels the natural progression. It just feels the next step.
Yeah. One of the things about courses is that you can really go deeper with someone through a course. And even if it's just the different senses, right? I love books. Obviously I read books, I write books, big fan of books. And yet I notice consistently I've gotten the biggest, I get more of an impact out of a course, maybe because it's more of an investment. Maybe there's just, sometimes there's interactive components and things like that. But then in the greatest level of impact I find is from like a live event, which is kind of like course meets live in person. So there's this progression, and that's one of the things that even I've thought this kind of like, well, I have it in the book. Do I really need to have a course on something? And granted, I don't have a course for every book that I have, but I definitely focus a lot on courses, coaching, more of that deeper type of work. And it's almost a disservice in some way to not have that available for people.
Yeah.
It's limiting. Have you gotten any feedback so far? I know it's just very early on in the process, but did you have some people when they signed up say that they were excited, or what do you know, if anything, about the first 5 people that signed up and what inspired them to join?
I know they're on my email list. One of the things that really touched me with the course, I had one lady, she said she wanted to buy the course and she also wanted to gift a copy of the course to somebody else. Do I know anybody who wants a copy? And I said, I don't. But then I checked my email and one of my readers, she actually said, oh, Ntathu, I saw your email. I'd love to buy a course, but I can't afford it. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is divine, because about 10 minutes ago, I had a conversation with a colleague, business buddy, saying she wants to gift a course. And then the next email, there was somebody saying she wants to buy the course, but she can't afford it. And for me, that's the energy. That's the magic of when we've got a course. It's that people, my business buddy, she can fulfill one of her dreams. And my client, my reader, she just felt really, gosh, there's a God, there's a universe. It just felt a really nice energy. People have said they've liked the, I'm not very artistic, so I had someone design the art for me, but people said they've liked the actual layout of the sales page and the actual imagery. That's been quite, they've enjoyed that.
Yeah, and before we go further, can you tell us what the course is, what it's called, and what it entails?
Oh, yeah. Cool, sorry. It's a meditation starter kit for beginners. And one of the things I've noticed, you spoke about it earlier on in the conversation, is that people love to read books. And lots of people love to read meditation books, or they love to read yoga books. The actual practice of meditation, they find it a lot harder to do. So the reason why I started this, it's just a starter kit. It's just to give people a taste of what it feels like to practice meditation. It consists of 3 what I call inner peace practices to bring focus, balance, and clarity and calm. And the first one, I'm a writer, and I love to write poetry and poems, inspirational yoga poems. So the first inner peace practice is a collection of, I think it's 21 meditation poems. And they're ones that I've written before and that people have actually really enjoyed reading. And the things you can read if you're going through a bereavement, if you're having a bad day, it's just something uplifting you can read to shift your mindset, to shift the energy. Because when I first started my journey, I'd lost my brother, I had a miscarriage, and reading affirmations, reading sort of spiritual books, that was part of my journey. So I wanted to kind of like show people that if you can't sit for, like a monk for 10 minutes, you can get a sense of calm just by reading an inspirational poem. The second inner peace practice, it's 3 yoga breathing exercises. And again, a lot of people say they struggle to meditate because their mind is too busy. And the beauty of doing yoga breathing exercises is that they help to calm the mind, they shift the nervous system, and you get most people get like an instant calming effect when they do the breathing. So I've got 3 yoga breathing exercises, and the last inner peace practice is part of the meditation kit. It's a guided meditation, because again, a lot of people say they want to meditate, but they can't do it by themselves. They need to listen to someone. So I've just included a very short, about 8 minutes, guided meditation. Again, just to let readers get an experience what it feels like to shift from anxious, overwhelmed, to getting a sense of maybe not total zen, total peace, just a sense of calm, a calmer state of being.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you for that. And I see, so I've seen the page, so you have a few different practices in there. And what I like that you did is, it sounds like you've really simplified it down. Like you talk about it's a starter kit. It's not, here's 972 hours on everything there is to know about meditation and yoga and breathing exercises. It's like, here's just a few of the most powerful practices that you can use right away. And especially if you're starting out. Yeah. So in some ways, I've noticed this with books. It can be true with courses. Many people nowadays, especially with how busy people are, they actually prefer like the less is more, right? Yeah. And doesn't mean you can't go deep on these. Like you might go deeper on these, but it's not giving them like so many different techniques that they're like, which one do I do? I got all these breathing techniques. I got all these de-stressing techniques. Now I'm stressed out trying to figure out which de-stressing technique to use, which applies to me. So it sounds like you got clear then on really knowing who this is for, more for beginners, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
it's for beginners. Yeah.
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 And can you walk us through the process when you go, okay, I know I want to create a course. Now you gotten it done. What was that journey like? What did you end up doing? I mean, obviously there's probably quite a bit that you can go into, but the kind of the overview of the process of figuring out what's the course I'm going to create? What am I going to include? What am I not going to include? What was that like for you?
That was quite hard. I think you hit the nail on the head, and you're saying keep it simple. Because I've been teaching and I've got a personal practice, I just didn't know. Yeah, I could just dump the whole lot in. It's like, yeah, I could easily give you 101 meditation techniques. So I think the hardest part was narrowing it down and finding a specific niche. And also, I think the best thing I'd done, I invested in different online courses like your course. And that really helped because they're kind of like step by step. And it sort of took me on a journey of being a creator. So, had to brainstorm, had to put into the chapters, work out a technology, the sales letter. Um, I can't remember the exact process, but I know that for myself, when I invested in courses, I got further than when I was trying to do it by myself.
Yeah. So following courses
Yeah,
was part of the process. Other people have
yeah,
laid out the whole step-by-step process. So
yeah,
there's no need
yeah,
to reinvent
yeah,
the wheel and try to figure it
yeah,
out from scratch.
yeah.
And since you brought up that finding the niche was one of the hardest parts for you, what was it that made it challenging? And then how did you ultimately discover your niche for this?
I'm still on a journey of really getting clear on my niche, but right about now, it's beginners because I feel that I'm quite a gentle person. And for me, I want yoga and meditation to be accessible to all people. I don't really like the way that it's portrayed at the moment. It's very sort of like white, skinny, 20-something female. And for me, obviously, that's not my physiology. I really want yoga and meditation to be accessible to everyone. And I guess my own journey, looking at where I was, how it got me into yoga, into meditation, and just sort of talking to my friends, starting the blog, starting to read books, I recognised there was a market for people like myself, who are busy mothers. So, I've got 3 daughters, and they want something that's really easy, really accessible. They've heard about yoga, they've heard about meditation. It all seems very kind of like, not for people like us, not for people like, yeah. So, and I think consciously I've made that effort. When I teach yoga, I do try and go into prisons. I do try and get into community groups, schools, people who aren't necessarily mainstream in society, because I believe that we're here to care and support each other. And there's no point in me just teaching CEOs if the person down the road is a stressed out mother, can't look after her children because she's too stressed out. How can that child become a CEO if her mother doesn't feel totally comfortable in her own body? So that's part of my journey. It's recognising that I do like beginners. I am attracted to beginners. Um, but saying that, I've noticed on my list, because I also sent out an email to people saying, I noticed you were interested, but you didn't actually buy the course. And a couple of people responded back saying they've got a meditation practice, but they like to be in my email list because I still talk about the beginner's mind. I still remind them of the journey. But yeah, beginners, that's my niche. Stressed out beginners, busy mums, yeah.
Yeah. So was that people that you were working with before prior to creating the course? Am I correct in
Yes,
that?
yes.
Yeah.
My clients, private clients, students.
Okay. So were you looking at then some of your clients that you've already had and said, okay, I can target a course for people like the people that I've been working with already?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So especially for coaches or people who have clients, that's one approach that you can take is you can go, well, who are the people that I enjoy working with the most? Who are the
Yeah.
people who have already been my ideal clients? And then, starting there. As you said, the journey is ongoing. So it might shift or it might expand or it might focus in different ways. And that's not only okay, it's probably expected that in many cases it's going to be a constant evolution. And what what I really love that you did is you chose something and you created the course and you got it out there, versus someone who would sit there and go, well, I'm not exactly sure who it's for. Is it for beginners? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? And they'll think about it for months and years and never get anything out there. Whereas if you get something out there, now you get feedback one way or the other. Now you can say, okay, here's how it's going. And you can always common, phrase in entrepreneur world, pivot, just, okay, maybe that wasn't exactly who I want to target, but then you can pivot. And it sounds like beginners are a good market or a good niche for you. Then you can always take these concepts and target a different group, and it can still be the same principles. Yeah. So all this goes to show, and I'm coming back, keeping in mind this idea that the choosing the niche was one of the hardest parts, and yet as important as it is to take the time to consider that and get clear on that, if someone listening to, if you're listening to this and you're going, but I'm not really sure who it's going to be, and that's my big issue, like pick something, pick something and go with it. And one thing that can help that you were doing, and I also want to point this out, is you were also creating content before. And this is something I brought up, like, you don't have to create the full course if you're not sure who your niche is. You can start sending emails with different angles. If you have a list, you can start writing articles. You can see what resonates with people with much smaller level of time and energy commitment. And then through that, you go, okay, now I've kind of found these are the people who resonate with my message. These are the people who I like working with. Okay, now I can invest more time into something like, creating a course. Although granted, you could create courses relatively quick these days if you know your material. And on that note, I'm curious, how long do you think it took you, if you had an estimate, to actually, once you kind of knew what you wanted to do, outlined it, to actually create the material for the course?
I was going to say lifetime. I suppose I've been on a sort of conscious journey of creating a course for the last 2 years. I've done various online courses like yourself, and I've really applied myself, and then something's happened. I've got scared, I've got nervous, I've buckled out. But this particular one, and I think it's something you're saying about the material. I had a lot of material there already, but I was scared that, I was just scared. But my parents are quite elderly and they live in Grenada. So I've just come back from spending about 2 months there. And I said, okay, right, whilst I'm here, I'm actually going to sit down and I'm going to pull together all the different things I've learned and literally create this course. So I'd say about 8 weeks, that's kind of like, drawing together all the different things I've got to create it. I had lots of help from my webmaster. All the technical side. I decided that one of my kind of like stumbling blocks is I'm not technical. That's a story I told myself. So I actually said, okay, look, I can't keep procrastinating. I can't do the technical side. My webmaster's there. He's happy to support me. There's Fiverr. I can get a design on Fiverr. My skill, my niche, I'm really good at is creating content. So do that, find the money, and outsource the bits that I can't do. And that just kind of like, once I kind of got over that mindset that it's okay to outsource, okay to ask for help, it flowed. It just seemed so much easier. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because on one hand, a person could think like, oh, well, I got to figure this out myself, in the early stages. And there could be a degree of that. And then there's also the ability to go, okay, what is just not in my zone of genius, right? Some people trying to figure out the technical side of the graphic design, it could get like a whole nother college degree to figure out some of that stuff. It's like, I really need like 7 more degrees in design and technical computer skills and programming and all that. It's like, no, so you focused on what you're best at. And fortunately, we live in an age, like you mentioned, Fiverr. There's people who can make it accessible. And the other thing is, for anyone listening to this, you have this ability now to upgrade as you go. So you get a design that works for now, but you can always improve, tweak, modify, make it even better as you go along. But the key thing is you just get that version 1.0 out there. You start getting sales, you start impacting people's lives, and then you can always make it better and better as time goes on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So what would you say to someone who is maybe where you were at before you started creating a course, where you're inspired or thinking, I'm kind of thinking about doing this. Maybe I get a feeling like this is something that's right for me, but I don't know if I should do it. Maybe I'm not that good at technical stuff. What am I going to say? I don't know my niche. Maybe they have a lot of the questions that you used to have. What would you say to someone who's in that position listening to this?
I would say to honor your feelings, because it is scary. It is, because it feels like you're putting yourself out there. You want it to be perfect. You want it to be perfect. You want to do the best ever course, because all these great courses out there. But really, it's just to be gentle with yourself. Have that beginner's mind that do your best, and just trust and just know that it is version 1. It is version 1, and that's okay. Do your research in the sense that talk to some people who you think might be interested in what you're offering. If you've got clients, like you're saying, just sort of see what's the sort of common denominator of all your clients. Is there something you can pull out of all of that? Because one thing that really surprised me was, because I write poetry, and part of my email list, I just send out a weekly poem. And I was really surprised how much people responded back and enjoyed it. And that's one of the reasons why I also included it in the starter kits, because my readers, they always thought, oh my God, that poem touched my heart. It just made my day or something. I thought, okay, it does work. So I would say talk to potential clients, people you think might be interested, and then just get over yourself. I know it's easier said than done, but there's such a feeling that like Saturday, I sort of sat there, I sold 5 units. It's like 5. I wonder if it was a gift, and it just feels, my target was to sell at least 1. If I can sell at least 1 kit, that's proven to myself that I can go through the process. So aim to at least 1, and you just be it just feels good. It just feels really like all coming together. And like you're saying, the world's your oyster. You put your course out. Look, I'm talking to you now. If I didn't have a course, I wouldn't be talking to you. Yeah, just reaching more people, making an impact, following your dreams. It's really good. It's really worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned talking to people, talking to clients, talking to those that you can be people on your email list. All of this is great. Before you start creating a course or even a book for that matter, something I recommend, talk to people. Yeah. And it's one thing to read the responses, but I mean, actually talk to them, ask them questions. What did you love about that? What do you, what is missing that you would like to see? What are your challenges? What are what are your hopes and your aspirations? All of these things. I mean, the best marketers and the best product creators, a lot of times they're just providing people what they want. They're listening to their pain points, and they're going, okay, how can I create a solution for that? Yeah. And I can say, as a copywriter, like writing the words that sell, some of the best phrases and headlines and things like that come from the words that people are saying. Like, I don't have to come up with it. I just have to find what people are already saying and go out, seek it out, and draw it out at times through the interview process. So as we're about to wrap up, obviously many authors are listening to this, entrepreneurs, course creators or potential course creators. I'm curious about your course, which might be, some people listening to this might be interested in getting it for themselves or learning more about it. So I'd love to know, how have these techniques that are in your course, well, have they, and if they have, how have they helped you as an author? So for instance, have the breathing techniques, have the de-stressing techniques, have any of those things helped you as an author and entrepreneur?
It's the calm and the focus. It's when I feel, when I doubt myself, when I feel unworthy, that's when I can just take a step back. I can reconnect to my breath. I can do a gentle breathe in for 4, breathe out for 4, come back to center, find that sort of still voice that says, underneath all that sort of that busy noise that I can't do it, there's that voice that says you can do it. That's for me. It gives you the stillness, and it gives, as a writer, it gives you the stillness. Like, taps into your creativity, and it's a discipline as well. But if you can just sit still and just breathe for 5 rounds of breathing exercise, that just clears your mind. It clears your mind. You can pick up your pen and you can just write. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a big thing. And I've learned this. This was one of the biggest things that I learned is before getting into work, you get into state. Right? You get yourself into the right state. That could be a creative state. That could be this calm, focused state. Because otherwise, I mean, I've certainly had this experience. I imagine others listening to this have had it where it's like sitting there and I don't know what to write. Everything that comes out, I'm like, this isn't any good. And there's a certain amount that you just kind of got to go through that until the good stuff comes out. But there's also an element of like, I'm distracted. I'm kind of half into this, but thinking about something else. And all that, it's like an hour or two of scattered, unfocused, not in a good state type of writing or, work. That could be far less productive than 15 or 20 minutes of being on it in that flow state. Yeah. So it's like if people feel like they're busy, well, think about this. What if one of the best ways you can quote unquote create time is to be in that ideal flow state and you can tap into it as you need, right? Yeah. So learning these techniques, overcoming the stress and the overwhelm and the scattered mind to be able to get yourself back into that state and also get out of that head noise of who am I? Am I good enough to do this? All these things that can almost all of us go through as human beings. Having techniques to be able to manage that can have what impact have you noticed for yourself with that?
It just gives me the confidence and the clarity to do the work. That inner strength, yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Ntathu. And how can people learn more about you and your work?
On the website, yogainspires.co.uk, and I've got a free gift as well. It's like a mini course of different breathing exercises, relax and de-stress, which you can use anywhere, anytime, any place. Simple techniques to help you stay calm and focused even when you're busy.
Perfect. So I see you have a free course and people can find that if you're listening to this at courses.yogainspires.co.uk. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Any final words or comments that you want to share?
Just to believe in yourself. Even if you don't believe in yourself, just do it. The belief will come afterwards. Just do it. You've got permission to do it. You've got permission to shine.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ntathu.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So blessed. Thank you.